The sports card strategy of buying raw to grade is about to storm back. Let's talk about it.
Strength and honor, strength and honor, strength and honor. At my signal, unleash hell.
Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. How are we doing? It is another day. It is another sports card video. Happy that you're here with me, so thanks very much. If you're brand new here, please hit the big red button below the subscribe button. If you like what you hear, the like button, it helps us spider these videos out to the masses. We are almost to 16,000 subscribers thanks to you all. So thank you all for spreading the word. Also connect with me on IG at SportsCardDad, and I'm also on the Twitter at times, the Sports Card Dad. Also, thank you to today's video sponsor. It's a new selling platform, and we have a giveaway. 2 lucky winners will win $50 each. All you have to do is sign up for the app. I'll have all the details down below in the comments. I'll link it, and I'll also put it in the video description, so don't forget to check out Card Shop Live. All right, so as many know, unless you're just getting back in, we hit a kind of a high point for sports card prices, for a lot of sports card prices, not all, but a lot of them, in about March of 2021 or so. At that time, we also had a lot of the major grading companies, notably PSA and BGS, really slowed down and shut down operations due to the absolute backlog that they had. PSA had 10 million plus cards in their backlog at one point. Now we're down to what, 1 million, 2 million cards? It has dropped down dramatically. And so the landscape is switching back. It's switching back to a time where there's not massive backlogs, where the companies have these things under control. Pricing for grading is starting to come down. We have seen that really over the last few months.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
The price of grading at all the major companies has come down. I'm talking mainly PSA, BGS, SGC, and CSG, kind of the big four, as many would call them. And these companies have been just churning out cards, have been grading a lot of cards. And so you've seen grading prices come down, turnaround time starting to get better. And so we are reaching a point where what I believe could be another 2016 type era where we get back to cheap grading and the ability to be able to grade cards. And a big question mark, I think, is going to be how many people left. So you had a lot of the buy raw to grade to flip. And, a lot of those people have really been gone. I think they've been gone because PSA has been closed. BGS really very slow. So they have been gone. Now, all of a sudden, that's changing. Now it's opening back up. And so a lot of people that built big collections and kind of just hit it right at the perfect time where they were in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16 grading cards, 17, 18, there's a big boom bonanza and they're able to sell off some, hold on to some, and blah, blah, blah. That's really how a lot of big collections were built. Buying raw, grading it, and then just trading up and trading up and trading up. And so here we are. Now, of course, you've had a fairly sizable correction. We have a lot of macroeconomic stuff going on that we talk about quite a bit on the channel. And so these are all kind of moving parts that we don't know how it's going to necessarily affect the market. But the one thing that we do know is that grading prices are coming down, and it looks like turnaround times are getting better. Kind of missed the boat on the buy raw to grade. I came into the hobby and just bought graded. I didn't bother with grading raw cards. I just liked buying cards that were already graded, just not really fuss with it, didn't really understand a lot of the submission processes and all that stuff. And then frankly, it just kind of got out of hand when we got into 2020, 2021, and then grading really wasn't viable. They got too backlogged and then taking too long. If you're really trying to time it up, it wasn't really working. So I kind of missed the boat, I suppose, if we're looking at kind of the buy raw to grade. But I'm happy that I think that this is going to be, where we're going back to those times where you do have the ability. How many people are going to come back in now that, okay, PSA prices are lower, SGC is affordable? Regardless of which company you choose, I think that you could use all 4 companies and other companies as well, depending on the situation. There's a million different motives and situations. For me, I feel like PSA is kind of the resale, if resale is your number one and that is all that you care about is just resale, then maybe PSA is for you. If you're looking for really consistent grading, that's why I favor SGC, channel partner SGC, why I partnered with SGC in the first place. I like the Tux. They have fast turnaround times, and what I believe to be the most consistent grading in the space. And one guy that I follow that a lot of you may know, Elite Co 3, Nolan, I've chatted with him back and forth. I watch his channel. I respect what he does. He's been grading cards for 15 plus years. He's been grading cards longer than most people that are in the hobby. And he has talked a lot about SGC just being consistent. And I trust his judgment. If there's a guy that's looked at a lot of cards and graded a lot of cards, it's Nolan at Elite Co 3. So for me, my priority is I want the grade to be as right as possible. Yes, of course, I'd love to just get a PSA 10 on everything so that the value is higher and it just be a money proposition. But I just don't know. For me personally, with PSA, it just kind of feels like PSA 9s and 10s. It's just a crapshoot. You're just throwing it in there and hope for the best. A lot of 9s could be 10s, a lot of 10s could be 9s. And for me, that is an issue. But there are certain cards where I do care about resale value. Maybe it's not something that I plan on holding on for a long time, or I'm just worried, hey, the market might not pay for this particular card. And so resale value for these particular cards matter to me more. So maybe I'll go to PSA on those. And I can understand CSG. I've got hobby friends that use CSG. I bought CGC graded comic books. I love CGC as a company, so I understand the draw to CSG as well. And then Beckett. Beckett's a big time name. It's a long time name. And even though Beckett has been slow in communications and really slow on turnaround times, there's a lot to unpack with Beckett, frankly. They've got a new CEO, they've got some new initiatives, and they're getting caught up as well. So you have 4 viable companies, all depending on really what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish. And I'll show just a few cards that I've been kind of holding on, raw cards that, I'd like to send in. This is a 96 Upper Deck patch, Marshall Falk. And the reason why this one is important, it says right here on the back, you have received the first ever game-worn jersey card from the Upper Deck company. So 1996 Upper Deck football, the first ever game-used patch done by Upper Deck. So obviously that's a cool card. 2001 Fran Tarkenton game-used auto, on-card auto. I like these cards. It's a piece of history game jersey, game-used jersey. And you just don't see a lot of the game-used stuff anymore. A lot of the early 2000 sets, they do have kind of that game used stuff. Everyone's all about the jambalayas. This is from Fleer Retro Football. I believe it's 2012, Joe Namath. Stranger Things. I'm all about Miss Wheeler. Miss Wheeler looking fine on Stranger Things. This one's numbered out of 99. Just kind of a cool card. It's on-card auto. 2015 Fleer Retro. It's the Impel insert Doctor Strange. It's signed. These are more rare, the signed versions. 2015, not as much as 13. I've got a bunch of the 2013 autos as well. This is the Impel inserts that are autoed. And for me, it's nostalgia because I used to collect 1990 Impel, 91, 92. And they're really rare in 2013 Fleer Retro. They're one out of like 500 packs, 700 packs, 900 packs, depending on if it's 90, 91, 92. So those are cool to find. I've been finding those out in the wild. 91 Pro Line Portraits Football. These are fun. These are funny. This might very well be the first ever autographs, the pack pulled autographs for football cards, if you're going back. And it's just funny because you wouldn't think it. It looks like it's kind of one of those in-person autos. And then it's even more confusing because on eBay, there's a bunch of Beckett authenticated ones of these where people actually got them hand signed. But the way you can tell is there's a certification stamp right here that says certificate, of authenticity, or what does it say? Certified auto. And it's a stamp looking thing right here on the inside of the card. So that's how you can kind of tell if they just got the insert, or the regular card signed in person, or if this was the pack pulled version. I just kind of found these and just kind of a fun chase. Got Bruce Smith, the all-time sack leader, Gale Sayers, obviously the legendary Chicago Bears running back, but that's kind of a cool 90s set that just screams 90s. Last one I pulled out was just a PMG blue for Bruce Smith. I like collecting Bruce Smith stuff because it's inexpensive. He's the all-time sack leader and nobody's even close to touching his record. And just nobody cares. Nobody focuses on Bruce Smith. So I like to pick those up. And I think he's just kind of got a cool story. But anyway, those are just examples of cards. And I think this could be really kind of a boon time, to get back into, the buy raw to grade. Again, it's with disposable income if you can do it. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with recession, inflation, inflation, job markets, all these sorts of things. So there's a lot of variables. But if we're just looking at the silo, just looking at it in a bubble, the hobby, it's kind of like, what can you do right now? What are some different options? And with grading becoming more reasonably priced, I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity coming up here. And it's just going to be a matter of, like we were talking about, of, who's still in, who's getting back in, are people taking advantage of the fact that you can buy low numbered rare cards and grade them and either flip them or just hold on to them, kind of up the value of that card if you get a good grade. For me, I would like to get a lot of these these raw cards in slabs because, look, it's Slabgate. There's a zillion slabs being put out there now between all the companies. I mean, PSA is grading 1 million cards a month. SGC's up there 100,000 cards a month. I mean, these companies are grading a lot of cards, so it's fewer and fewer where you're going to shows and just seeing a lot of raw cards. It's just slabs everywhere. And so it's become kind of a thing where, people are looking for slabbed cards or just expecting it. I shouldn't say looking for it, expecting a card to be slabbed. And if you are looking to move it, yeah, you can probably move or trade it raw. I guess that's the other thing is, like, if I'm going to trade night at the National, because I'm going to the National, can I take my raw cards there and trade? Yeah, I can, but it certainly does help if they're graded just for trade value. And then it's been labeled authentic. I think it's easier to trade, slabbed cards. So what do you guys think? Now that we've kind of gone through a cycle of this where you've seen, okay, base cards, maybe I'm not sending in base rookie cards to get graded to sell, but what about the zillions of, niche cards out there? There's a lot of non-sports cards that people are buying and getting graded and reselling. There's a lot of scarce/rare stuff across a lot of different sports and non-sports, which to me kind of really screams opportunity, because if something is collectible, it just takes someone that really wants that particular card, player, artist, athlete, whatever it is, and you've got something there. So it's an interesting time, but really kind of a fun journey to go down. Let me know, guys, are you buying raw to grade, or have you been doing this? To be honest, I have been buying graded cards, but I have been strategically looking for raw cards that I would like to, stuff that's rare, stuff that you just don't see all the time, and also looking at the pop report. Is the pop really low? There's a lot of really cool cards that are serial numbered that are not on the pop. They haven't been graded. So to me, that just kind of just reeks of opportunity. And then if you go back to, vintage, a lot of vintage stuff, great, you get it graded. Again, you have to watch out for trimming and alterations, and that's kind of the big risk of buying vintage. But there's just a lot of opportunities. You got 100 years of cards or so, to go through. There's a lot. So let me know your strategy down below. Have you already been grading, or are you waiting a little bit longer? Maybe you're like, I want to grade with X company, but I want there to be a price point at Y, and then I'm going to jump into it. As we always do, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to check out Card Shop Live. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.